Do you want to wait 3 minutes until 5:45, or you want it now?
Where's the question?
Although,
I don't want us to be discussing.
Okay.
Oh, that's right.
That's
And we
what I
also
kept
read-
saying.
Yes, you did.
yeah.
Beautiful arrangement, though.
What?
You caught it without
Well,
preface.
maybe
Wait, are
you
you saying
should.
it's too loud?
No, no. He's concerned it's not going to pick us up enough.
Oh. I think I was pretty loud.
Yeah.
And I think
You
Doug,
guys- you
Doug
guys
is
are-
also equally loud when he
Yeah, these
wants to.
mics pick up pretty well.
Yeah, you know
Yeah.
In a bubble in front.
that you're on now.
Kind of position myself a little farther like this.
Just move it off,
Oh,
because
he's
they
a lot
messed
of
it up for
no,
us.
just tarara, tarara.
So they asked us
So
to
the
do
singer
it.
has the
So we need your, but we don't have to,
No, I think one of you does, or a bass does.
and it stands on the stage.
The bass must.
maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
What?
I'm not looking.
All right, let's go.
Are you ready?
Thank you, Linda and Doug, and welcome everyone to this Yizkor service of the year 5785. One main metaphor for this season that we've talked about on many occasions already over the course of this last 25 hours and during Rosh Hashanah is the book of life and the book of death. And I spoke at Rosh Hashanah about how it feels like the book of death never actually closed last year. The metaphor is that it opens at Rosh Hashanah and it closes tonight in Neilah, or at the very latest, Simchat Torah. But as we all know, Simchat Torah didn't end the way we thought it would last year, and it feels like this book of death has remained open, filling with thousands upon thousands of names that never should have entered it in the first place. Some of us are grieving very personal losses this year. Some of us are grieving the collective losses of the Jewish people, of the Israeli people, of the Palestinian people, or the Lebanese people, or the people of Appalachia, or all the people of this planet. We're all in grief in some way, shape, or form. And some of us are grieving, in addition to that, also what this time, what this last year, what this last many years has done to our communities and to our world, and grief at just the collective chaos and collective pain we witness on a daily basis. There's no lack of things to grieve. But Jewish tradition has us gather 4 times each year to grieve collectively. 4 times we get to observe Yizkor, and one such time is now. So together, let us allow our grief to pour forth like water, and let us hold each other afloat through the storm. We'll begin on page 927 in your Machzor with Eli, Eli. So last year, at this time, I made space for people who wanted to share stories of their lost loved ones to come forward and spontaneously share a story that was on their heart, and for these shares to be held within the soft cocoon of song and community. I'd like to do so again this year, and I want to begin by modeling the practice, and none of you have been asked to do this in advance, so anyone who comes up, you're more than welcome to, but I would like to share about 3 losses I have experienced over the last year as an entry point. So first I want to bring Reisel Berger into the room. Reisel was one of our own, an Or Shalom member who died at the age of 38, far before her time, leaving behind her mother, her 3 siblings, her husband, and her 2-year-old daughter, Sanaya. I spent a lot of time with Reisel and her family as they grappled with the reality of her impending departure from the world, and there's much to be learned from how they all moved through that moment together. However, one of the primary things that I've been sitting with in the last 6 or so months since she passed is the deep injustice of her passing. Death is enough on its own. The injustice of death before its time is all the more painful. So I know not all of us knew Reisel, but I ask you to imagine and remember her as the incredible athlete and runner that she was, the incredibly accomplished doctor of pharmacy that she was, but most of all, as the incredible mother that she was, with a sassy Sanaya always at her hip, bringing such joy to every room that they entered. I also want to call to mind 2 indirect losses that I've experienced over the last year, that of Avshalom Haran and Halil Abu Yahya. Avshalom was the father of my friend Shaked, who I met while studying at a peace institute in Israel. He was killed in his home on Kibbutz Be'eri on October 7th. Avshalom was an economist helping to run the finances of the kibbutz, and most of all, a peacenik who raised his children too to be peaceniks. Instead, he was killed and most of his family taken hostage on October 7th. While most have been released and are safe, including his wife and daughter and 2 grandchildren, his son-in-law remains a hostage in Gaza to this day. Halil was 27 years old, a scholar of literature, a husband, a father, and how I knew him was as a partner and friend to many of my Israeli colleagues in building the peace and justice that Israelis and Palestinians so deserve. For the first many weeks of the bombing campaign on Gaza, I would get daily live updates from my Israeli colleagues of what was happening on the ground in Gaza, direct from the mouth of Khalil. His reports were devastating, yet he always maintained hope. His messages were always incredibly hopeful. That is until we stopped receiving those updates and instead received the notice of his passing, that he'd been killed alongside his wife and his 2 young daughters in an airstrike. So I ask this Yizkor service that you hold both of them in your hearts, but not just the 2 of them. I ask that you hold all the other deaths that they represent, all the injustice that their deaths represent. Today we grieve together, and tomorrow we recommit to the end of the suffering. So to hold us through this grief, we'll again sing Eli, Eli, an abridged version to help hold us in this grief. So if there's anyone here who's lost someone in the last year, or maybe not even the last year, who wants to share a short story about them, please, you can come to this microphone here. Yeah.
Thank you. I wanted to talk about my two best friends who died. One died already the year before, Peter Gable. Some of you know him. He was one of the co-founders of Tikkun, the Tikkun magazine. He was my first friend in San Francisco. And Eli Noyes died maybe 3 months ago. And he was my best friend to play music. And I'm just starting now to realize that. With the situation in Gaza, I really miss Peter as a counterpart to talk about it. I really miss him. He had strong opinions. We disagreed often. But he was a counterpart of humanity, and I really needed that, and I miss that. For the music, with Eli, we played music together every Friday or on Sunday since my children were 2 years old. They now have their own children. And we really didn't talk. So I remember that Gloria asked me every time, so what did you talk about? Well, we talked about the tempo of the second movement of the saraband. We talked about if we should play this forte or more piano. But I didn't really know, just like now with Stephen and in Urate, I don't really know what they do in the daytime when we don't play music together. I mean, I know a little bit by now, but we have played together for years. And there's something very special about this relationship. We just have this very small connection, and I just wanted to acknowledge that. Thank you.
Thank you. For Peter, we'll sing Eli, Eli.
This year I lost my father, Sangeeta Michael Berardi, and he was a musician. He played the guitar and the saxophone and other instruments, but mostly the guitar. And he had Parkinson's that progressed very slowly over many years. And so he was able to still play music for a long time. And then he was able to adjust how he played music, like instead of with a pick, with a CD case that he could hold on to. And there's one thing that doesn't relate to his music that I want to say, and then one thing that relates to his music. The thing about him was that he remained optimistic and kind and loving, even though he was suffering greatly. And he was a good listener to me. And he was proud of me, which is nice from a parent. And then for his music, just last month I had the opportunity to travel to upstate New York and share a memorial that was organized by the last group of musicians that he recorded with and played with. And they played with him when he was playing Tibetan bowls and using his voice when he could rather than the guitar. And some of them also played with him when he was still playing his guitar. So they knew him through his transition, and it was a beautiful memorial. And just resonating with the fact that they had relationships that were very deep and were based on music.
Thank you, Neilah.
And so I am the son of Tala, so he was my grandfather. And about the music, I was going to tell how one of my early memories of Grandpa Gita was when we would visit him. And one of the things I loved to do was go down into his basement, or whatever that room actually was, and play with, he had an electronic drum set that could make a lot of different sounds. And I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know it was for music. I was just like, damn, this is a really, really cool toy. And he let me play with his drum set and showed it off to me, and it was really nice to have. And that was kind of emblematic of, like, he would share that part of his life with you whenever, any part of his life with you. And yeah, that's what I remember most. That's what I choose to remember most for him.
Thank you both. We'll sing for Sangeeta. Anyone like to share?
Next Friday is the 12th yahrzeit of my mother's death. Her name was Rosemary Quinn Taylor, and she taught me so many things. One of the things that she taught me was to be a political activist. I can remember in the late 60s, we joined in the boycott of grapes in California to support Cesar Chavez. We passed out leaflets on a cold parking lot in Detroit, Michigan. And I asked myself, why am I doing this? Why are we boycotting grapes in Michigan? She also took myself and 5 of my siblings to Washington, D.C. for the March for Peace in 1969, when about 400,000 people marched in the Capitol. I can remember seeing soldiers up on the roofs with guns. There's probably a picture of me as a 12-year-old boy walking in front of the White House, saying a person who had died in the war, saying their name out loud. She also taught me to love art in all of its forms: poetry, music, going to the museum. She also taught me to love gardening and to plant things and to enjoy that. And I really miss her. She would always come to my concerts, and she'd always sit right in the front row. So I miss that support from her, but I still remember her and keep her close to my heart.
Thank you, Joseph. Remind me of her name?
Rosemary Taylor.
Rosemary. We'll sing for Rosemary. Eli, Eli. We have time for maybe 1 or 2 more shares, if anyone is feeling called.
I'm just going to give one little tiny story. My father died in 1970 when I was 13 years old. And he was a surgeon and a professor of urology. But this thing I remember most about him, or a memory that's so clear in my head, is he had been away at our family ranch for the day, and I asked him, well, what did you do today, Dad? And he said, I dug a hole. And that's something I keep in my mind.
What was his name? Sam. Let's sing for Sam.
Oh I'm Brad, and I wanted to bring in my uncle Bill Shapiro, who died this year. Yeah, I've been just thinking about him a lot. So he was someone who was a bit of an exile from his family. He lived far away from them, and I think left in part because he didn't fit in at all. A very unusual man. A lot of people in my family thought that he was mentally ill, which he indeed might have been. He was a teacher all his life, and was particularly, one of his particular interests was the Holocaust, and was a passionate historian. He loved music, and I think what's really up for me is that I didn't fit into my family very well either, and I enjoyed very much the time that I spent with him in his ramshackle, dilapidated home in Portland, Oregon, walking the park blocks and going to Powell's, and he would sit with Mr. Powell and have a beer, and I would read books, and he taught me a lot about music. He had a whole row of albums from the 60s, original Beatles albums, and everything you could, psychedelic music, Donovan, things I'd never heard of. And he was kind to me. And I think the thing I learned when I went to his memorial, he always collected a very eccentric group of friends in his life, a lot of younger people who looked up to him that he mentored. And I was struck as I met those people, many of whom were actually quite difficult people and quite complicated people. I was struck by what a generous and good friend he was, that he didn't judge those people. He didn't really judge anyone, and was generally kind to all people and opened his home to them. And I'm just finding that I miss him much more than I ever expected to, because I didn't see him a lot in the last few years of his life. And it feels really nice to bring him into the space here, so thank you.
What's his name one more time? Bill. For Bill, we sing. Corey, were you wanting to share? There's time. Yeah.
Well, this is kind of an odd tale because I didn't know these people. But, so I'll start where I started and make it brief. In 2012, maybe, I went to Baba Yar. I was there as a consultant in Russia as a consultant doing some work for the World Health Organization. And I went to Baba Yar because a friend of mine kind of said, let's go there. And I had this profound experience. I didn't know what it was, but I just was drawn into it. And kind of, my wife will tell you, I kind of went nuts for about 4 years. and had to write a play about it, had to write songs about it. So 3 years after that, I got a message through 23andMe from someone who had lots of my DNA. And it was my second cousin, Leah Portman. We never knew where the Portman family, what happened to them. And turns out that there is a survivor from Kyiv in that time, in 1941, during the Holocaust by bullets. And one member of the family, one couple from the family, left and fled east to Azerbaijan and lived there until 1990. And so they found me. And I was reunited with a fragment of my Portman family, which is my mother's family. And so, I say that their yard site is on the day that, in fact, the date, in fact, that they were murdered at Baba Yar. But it really is Yom Kippur, and that's why I'm bringing it up now. And I think I will, from now on, celebrate or commemorate their yard site on Yom Kippur. And their names are Bella, Rachilia, and Froyam Portman.
Rachilia and Froyman? Froyam? Froyam. Rachilia and Froyam will sing. Okay, do you want to come and then we'll sing all of them together? Perfect.
Well, I wasn't planning to do this, but hearing everybody else brought up a lot for me. And it's made me think about my father, who's been dead for almost 30 years now. And the thing about my father is that he was a fighter, and he fought fascism his whole life. He went to Spain during the Spanish Civil War. My sister was born in Niagara Falls during a paper mill strike. I was born in West Virginia during a miners' strike. He would go to provide support. When he was in assisted living towards the end of his life, he went to the the current events group, and he got them to vote against the Iraq War. He never stopped. He never, ever stopped. And he was a difficult man in many ways. We had a complicated relationship, although there was a lot of love. And one thing that I realized is that there was a lot I never appreciated about him until Trump got elected. And that I appreciate him in a very different way now than I did when he was alive, because he never stopped. Oh, he was also in jail during the McCarthy era, during my childhood. And he never gave up. And he really believed that there could be a better world and that we could fight fascism. And I have a lot of respect for that. After all he went through, he never gave up. Oh, his name was Irving. Irving.
Let us sing for all of them.
Shall
hearing all of these stories of recent losses and of losses of long ago, of losses that feel intimately close and of losses that are somehow distant and intimate at the same time. I want to take a moment now to read a list of the loved ones of Or Shalom members or Or Shalom members themselves who have passed in the last year, knowing that every single name that I name has not just a story, but many, many stories. And all the names that you all named, there's so many more stories that could be told about them. So I want to read this list of our losses of the last year. And then if you have a loss that you too want to commemorate from the last year, or just another name that you want to share, I'll invite you to do so before we sing El Malei Rachamim, which is the kind of traditional, anthem is the word that's coming to mind, which isn't quite right, but this Jewish anthem that holds the spirits of our loved ones in comfort and helps them find rest wherever they need to find rest. It's the song we sing to them as we lay them to rest in the ground, and then we return and sing it to them each Yizkor, saying, okay, making sure, checking back in, that they're comfortable and that they're at peace and at rest in the way that's needed. So I'll read the list of our lost loved ones from the last year and then invite anyone here to add any names. Alan Abramson, Paul Uster, Reiselberger, Beth Brownstein Jones, Tim Campbell, Ashira Charna Rabinowitz, Neely Cherkovsky, Alan Fine, Louise Gross, Barbara Gustafson, Martin Hamilton, Stacy Marger, B. Markow, Sangeeta Michael Berardi, Suzanne Rosenblatt, Laura Rowan Siegel, Sylvia Saunders, William Shapiro, Peter Shim, Kathleen Smith, Karen Wilson, Howard Wolin, and David Zonderman. If you'd like to add a name, I'll invite you to do so now. For all those named and all those unnamed and all those who might not have anyone to sing for them and hold them, we sing the words of El Malei Rachamim, page 1028. I invite Yorate and Robin to come forward and open the ark for us as we sing. And I invite you all to rise in body or in spirit as the ark is opened. El Malei Rachamim, Shochen Bamromi, Hamse Menucha Nechona, Tahat Kanfei HaShechina, B'malot Kedoshim B'tohorim, Kazohar Harakia Mazhirim, לנשמות יקירנו וקדושנו שהלכה לעולמם. ענה בעל הרחמים הסתירם בצל כנפיך לעולמים. בצרור החיים את נשמתם אדוני הוא נחלתם. וינוחו בשלום על משכבם. ונאמר אמן. And for all of them, we will recite Mourner's Kaddish, page 1032. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah be'alma divrah hirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'izman kariv yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam umei almayah. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudashah brechu le'ela mikol birhata v'shirata tushbechata v'nehemata da'amiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimru amen. You may be seated. May their memories be for such a blessing. May you know that they're here and they're close when you need them. And may you know that the stories of them are not going to just buoy you, but they could buoy all of us. So share their stories. I feel so uplifted by just learning little bits of your loved ones. And so know that they're not just carrying you through hard times, they're carrying all of us through these hard times. And for you all, in your grief, we sing the words of Hamakom Yenachem Etchem on page 9 of your supplement packet. The traditional words we say to those in mourning, may that place of comfort inside of ourselves and inside of the universe offer us all comfort now. May you know that there is always a place of comfort on which you can lie down and rest. So we'll begin now our transition from our Yizkor service to our Neilah service. Why is it that we do Yizkor on Yom Kippur just as the floodgates of prayer are about to close, which is what Neilah is all about? I believe it's so that we can carry those loved ones with us through the gates and to the other side. For the gates, they are closing tonight, but we don't need to rush. We have all the time in the world to find and to take the hand of and to carry everyone we love alongside us and with us, both living and not living, on with us through the gates of liberation. We must ensure that when these gates close, we have no one left behind. So I invite us to open and then close those gates together. We're going to try to sing a little mantra just on the drum, Doug, if you're able to open the gates. And I have just enough copies for everyone to share some, a song to help us open the gates a little wider before we shut them. Okay, great. So I'll take a couple for you all. We're going to try to open these gates wide. So if anyone, we don't have very many, but try to share them amongst yourselves, or just let the words wash over you. Are you able to drum?
You know what to do? Okay. I took it. What am I, chopped liver?
It's repetitive. The words change, but much stays the same. So I invite you to think about who you want to bring with you through the gates. I'll start it and then join in when you figure it out, maybe. I'll start it and then you join in. That works. Open up the gates for all who gather here. Open up the gates for all who seek your presence. Open up the gates of kindness and compassion. Open up the gates of the gates of love and connection. Open up the gates of giving and receiving. Open up the gates of trust and pleasure. Open up the gates of abundance. Open up the gates of joy and resilience. Open up the gates of liberation. Open. Soon you will call out the gates you want to open. So when I say open up the gates of, you'll tell me what you're opening them for. Are you ready? Let's try it out together. Open up the gates of 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 open up the gates for all who gather here. Open up the gates for all who seek your presence. Open up the gates of kindness and compassion. Open up the gates of wholeness and peace. May those gates be open just a little wider so all of us can move through to the other side. We'll turn now to page 1142 for El Nora Alila, our song to kind of mark this closing of the gates moment. I invite Joel and Sylvia to come and help open our ark, and I invite all of us to rise in body or spirit as the ark is opened, and not just rise, but as we're singing this song, I invite you all to come forward and have a moment alone in public with the Torah and offer any prayers you might have as the gates close into the Torah. And after you've done so, I invite you to stay up here, and we can remain all together up here if you feel so called until the end of the service. If you're coming up and you haven't tested for COVID, we'll just ask that you mask because we'll all be in close proximity up here on the bima. So with that, we'll turn to page 1142, which I have not yet found. We'll sing El Nora Alila. I'm realizing, does it have transliteration? Oh yes, it's on the other page. Okay, great.
I'm
visiting the Torah because we're going to do one final Amidah with the Ark open and all of us with them. And so feel free to continue to visit her throughout our time together. We'll begin on page 1146 as we enter our last Amidah and pray our last hope prayers of forgiveness, but mostly for the forgiveness we can offer ourselves and the motivation we can offer ourselves as we do this beautiful work of teshuvah. Page 1146. Adonai sefatai tifta ufia gita hilatecha. Adonai sefatai tifta ufia gita hilatecha. And I'm realizing that this version doesn't have the transliteration for some reason. And so it's there. Transliteration. So just join in with either your voice or your soul, whatever feels called, and we will sing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzhak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Velohei Leah, Velohei Bilcha, Velohei Zilpa, Ha'el, Hagadol, Hagibor, Vahanora, El Elyon, Gomel Asadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vesoher Hasteyavot, Ve'imod, Umevi, Geula Livnei V'nehem, Leman Shemo, Be'ahava. Misod hachamim unvonim, umilemed dat mevinim. Ay, eftecha fi betfila v'tachanunim, lacholot ulachen b'nei melech, malei rachamim mochel v'soleha, lavonim. Next page. Zochreinu lechaim, melech hafetz b'chaim, v'chol tmeinu b'sefer chaim, leman ha'elohim ha'im, melech ozer u'moshia u'magein, ay, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Rav Lehoshia, Mechalkel Chaim Behesed, Mechai Kol Hai Barachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar, Mi Chamocha Bal Gevurot, Umi Domela, Melech Meimid, Umchayei Umatzmiya Yeshua, Mi Chamocha Av Haracham, Rachamim, Zocher Yetzurav Lechaim Barachamim, V'ne'eman Ata Lechayot Kol Chai, Ai, Baruch Ata Adonai, Mechayei Kol Hai. And let us continue. Let's turn to page 1160. These also don't have transliteration, so we're going to sing a nigun, and then when I say the words of opening the gates and closing the gates, I invite you to continue singing in a nigun or join me for the final paragraph of the Hebrew, bottom of 1160. Yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai dai yai dai 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 yai dai yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 a recitation of the 13 attributes. Both. It's on both. But does the 64 have extra things? Both 162 and 164. Page 1166. We start with Slach Lanu. Continue on the next page with our Ashamnu, our final confession of our time together. I invite you to call in all of those things that you've been scared up until now to admit, and let this be the moment that you begin the teshuvah process while you're held in so much love and so much community. Yai dai 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 dai, ai dai 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 dai, ai dai 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 dai, Ashamnu, Bagadnu, Gazalnu, Dibarnu Dolfi, ai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, Yatsnura, Kizavnu, Latnu, Maranu, Niatsnu, Sararnu, Avinu, Pashanu, Sararnu, Kishinu Ora, I die, 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 yai, die, 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 yai, die, 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 Rashanu, Shichatnu, Tiavnu, Tainu, Titanu, I, die, 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 I, die, 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 die. So I want to offer you all a priestly blessing while we're all together. And the Torah will join in the blessing, so drone with me. Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha Ya'er Adonai panav elecha ve'yechunecha Yisa Adonai panav elecha vayasem lecha shalom. Page 1182, B'Sefer Chaim. We call in the book of life as the gates close. Let's try again. You take us. We are permitted, even though it's Shabbos, since we're right on the cusp, to sing Avinu Malkeinu for one first time of this Yom Kippur, page 1186. we're reaching the final moments. We'll turn to page 1190 for our final chants of the evening. We'll chant the Shema once, Baruch Shem 3 times, and Adonai Hu HaElohim 7 times, at which we will blow our Tekiah Gadolah, marking the end of our time together. If you are blowing the shofar, we've got a few options for anyone who wants to blow shofar for our final. Anyone want this shofar for our final Tekiah Gadolah? Anyone is welcome. Oh, I see a taker coming up. Yes, very good. So we'll chant together, page 1190. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kavod, Malchuto Leolam Va'ed, Baruch Shem Kavod, Malchuto Leolam Va'ed, Baruch Shem Kavod, Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Adonai Hu Elohim, 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 Tekiah Gedolah. Gamar Tov, everyone. Shavua Tov. Oh, but not quite yet. Shana Tova, all of the things, and we'll sing together. Yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 us light our Havdalah candle. If you want to connect consensually with someone around you, you want me to hold this while you do it? We are leaving both Yom Kippur and Shabbat. Separation. We'll have Mavil Ben Kodesh Lahol. Shavua Tov. Yai dai 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 yam dai 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 yam dai 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 yam dai 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 yam dai 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 yam dai 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 ay 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 ay. We're gonna do motzi. Yai dai dai yai dai dai. Shavua Tov, eat challah, and join breakfast even if you didn't bring anything. All are welcome. Shana Tova, everyone.